What's up, everything? That's not right.
Everything.
What's up, everyone? Thank you for checking out and supporting this episode of Raised A Geek. Marvel's Thunderbolts is finally here, bringing together some of MCU's most unpredictable antiheroes with Bucky, Yelena, and John Walker teaming up. Can they actually get the job done, or is chaos inevitable? Plus, we've been off for a month. Hopefully, you missed us. So we're going to catch up on everything we've been watching lately. I'm here with Tony and Don. How we doing, fellas?
Chris, what is up today, my friend? And Tony, my other friend. Everything's all right. Good to see you guys. We did see each other in real life as a group about a month ago at C2E2. Can
Oh,
barely remember it now, but it was fun.
I remember one thing. I exchanged words with Michael Ironside, so that was exciting for us.
Yeah, and you were face to face with Dina Meyer. Is that her
Yeah,
name?
and Jake Busey. It was a real moment for me on that escalator.
Yeah, that was great.
Magical. Yeah, but Michael Ironside corrected me when I called him Mister. That's my father's name.
These are actors from the cast of Starship Troopers. For those listening, like, who the fuck is Michael Ironside?
Michael Ironside's been in everything.
but yeah, but if you look up Michael Ironside right now, you're like, oh, that guy.
But yeah, things have been good, man. What about you, Chris?
Excited to get back to the movies to see Thunderbolts, which is we actually somehow all went to the theater to see it, even though who goes to the theater anymore?
True.
You guys doubled down and went and saw Sinners this month as well, so you guys make me feel like a slacker.
I was gonna say, going to the movies twice in a month is that's very rare nowadays. So the fact that I did it, I'm like, huh, I must have really wanted to see these two things, which I did. So
Yeah, me too, but like Sinners was gonna get ruined for me, which is why I had to see that. And same thing with Thunderbolts. The internet just keeps sharing more and more, and trailers keep getting expanded on, and it's like, I gotta do this now.
yeah.
But this is like I think my first
Thunderbolts,
time.
you had 72 hours.
Yeah,
We'll get to
but
that.
I think this is the first time that I think I went to the movies by myself because my wife isn't big on horror movies, so I wanted to see Sinners before it got ruined, and I went without her. And then she didn't want to go see Thunderbolts either, so I went to the movies alone twice in the past
In a
2 weeks.
Yeah. You know what? It's not a bad thing. I know people like have bad mouthed it as a joke in the past, like, you don't have any friends, nobody likes you, but in reality it's like a relaxing activity.
Yeah,
Sometimes that's true too, and that's okay.
yeah.
Well, right.
That's
Right.
also
I don't
fine.
have any friends. I can't go to the movies.
Yeah.
I should have called Don. And Chris,
Yeah.
you should have flew out here. Actually, that was my plan. If Sinners had been out that weekend, it came out the week after C2E2.
Yeah.
Like,
Was to try to get us to all go together. But next time you're out here, we should make a plan to go to see a movie together.
Sinners?
No,
We're going to go see Sinners.
by that time it'll be on TV
Demand.
and you can watch it. Yeah.
I still want to go to the show and see that one. The Thunderbolts, for whatever reason, lined up. There was enough showings. And this last weekend, when Thunderbolts came out, was Fiesta in San Antonio, which is a huge, huge festival thing, which I've never been to. So the movies were empty. I was in Saturday. I saw Thunderbolts in a giant theater with 10 people. It was awesome.
That's
Unless the crowd reaction you guys tell me about I missed, but
I went to early shows. Early show during the week with Sinners. Only a handful of people in there, but still had good reactions from the crowd, which was cool. And then Thunderbolts, I wanted to murder these 5 kids that were sitting behind me. That was the whole thing. We'll get into it later. But yeah, the rest of the crowd was clapping and enjoying it. But like, same thing. I think the audience was maybe at like an eighth of the way full. It wasn't anything crazy. But it's been out for a while, and I went and saw them early.
My Sinners theater was the day it came out, but I went to a matinee, so it was still pretty empty.
Yeah.
So that was good and I think I was off work that week, so I was like, I'm going to a movie on Friday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. No one was in there, so that was cool. Thunderbolts was a little fuller, and I had similar experience to Tony. You know what? People talking can ruin a movie. And people, that's one of my things when I get into a movie theater. Like, this is totally off topic, but people who can ruin a movie experience for you, and then you're sitting there like, this is why I don't go to the movies. This is
Right.
why I watch things at home,
Right.
because I'm subject to other people's like commotion
Dude.
and shit, and I just don't like it.
Fuck them kids, man. I'm just gonna get into it. Show's about to start. 5 or 6 kids come in and they sit behind me, just the row behind me, just off to my left. And so they're probably like 5 feet away from me, really. And I hear them talking and jostling their shit around. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. They're going to stop when the movie starts. So the movie starts and they kind of settle down a little bit. And then I hear them talking. It's like, David, no, Danny, wait, ha ha ha. And they're just laughing about random shit. And this is going on for a minute and it would get quiet and it would be okay. But then shit started happening in the movie. And I could tell one kid or two kids had already seen it because then they're not dropping lines, but they're doing things that are telling me what's about to happen.
Oh, that's
And I was just like, dude, I didn't even know I did it. I turned around and I was like, oh! And I went back. They got quiet and they're like, shh. And then it gets quiet for about 10 seconds. And I hear one of them go, oi. And I was like, oh, oh. And like, I felt this rage come over me. And I was like, don't do it. Cause I had a full thing of popcorn. I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. And I went to turn and I was like, guaranteed 2 of them got cell phones out. And I'm going to be this crazy dude assaults children at movie theater. And I was like, don't do it. So I looked back another time and they stopped, but they were still like randomly talking. It's like they had to be the ages between 13 and 15 where you think you're cool, but you're just an asshole.
We've been
and
there.
we were there.
Yeah.
But I was never I always respected a movie theater. You know what I mean? Like we went to the movies how many times? Like we were never just talking about random shit.
And if you do want to say something to someone you're with, you like do a slight whisper, not like an out loud, hey man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, so they get up and leave, and I was like, finally, they're gone. And one stayed. He was like the good one that was trying to keep everyone quiet. And I'm looking back at him, I'm like, all right. And like 10 minutes later, they all come back, jostle, and they had just refilled their drinks, and they're like, ooh, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose. And I moved down like 6 rows and couldn't hear him anymore. But that was like the first hour of the movie was me trying to deal with that. Oh God, I wanted to murder some kids, dude. Fuck them kids.
It's the worst. It's the worst. I had a
little
couple
entitled pricks. And like, dude, like it was like, and like when I saw them come in, I was like, oh, kids, riffraff. And I was like, I was telling Jess, I was like, man, it was this diverse little group of like, it was like little white kids, little black kids, little Middle Eastern kids, little Mexican kids. And I was like, man, this is like us growing up, or like us when we were younger. We had this big, like, unique group. And then I was like, nope, these kids are pricks. Fuck those kids. I was so mad. So mad. Ugh.
And like, you also don't want to be the guy who gets up and goes and gets the usher and is like a...
Dude, I was like, if I call, my cell phone's going to light up. And I'm like, you better get in here and get these kids out from behind me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I might not remember parts of the first hour of the movie because I was just aggravated and my brain was split, you know?
That's bottom line. I had similar experience, just a couple talking the whole time and laughing at inappropriate parts and being loud. And then the one time they weren't talking to each other, I looked over and the lady was asleep. I was like, okay, that's why they stopped talking for 30 minutes. And she woke back up and she was like, hell no. This shit. And I was just like, just being inappropriately loud. But like even the little things bother me, like people just rustling around their popcorn bag.
Yeah.
And then I get mad at that and I'm like, but they're allowed to have that because they sell that in here, but it's too loud for me. I don't like the rustling.
There's an etiquette to eat your popcorn quietly. You don't just fucking tromp in there like some sort of horse, just fucking bucking all over the place.
Yeah,
like,
you grab a couple kernels off the top and then feed yourself.
Have you
dude,
ever had
I was so close to chucking that bucket of popcorn on those fucking kids. I swear to God.
Have you ever had somebody shake the bag, like to get the butter and the salt all around? So you're in the movie, just hear like Jesus.
So before we talk about Thunderbolts, is there anything we've kind of talked about what we've been up to and watching? I think we're kind of all trying to push through The Last of Us. Are we all caught up with The Last of Us? Have we all seen that one? Sinners, they've watched. I haven't watched. I'm watching Andor. I don't know if you guys have watched Andor.
Dude, I forgot that restarted.
It did restart.
Yeah, I still got to start it.
They did a weird thing because they're basically dropping 3-episode bursts. So every Tuesday they drop 3 episodes, and the whole the last 3 episodes are already about to drop.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
On Tuesday, so they're gonna have 12, and the show's over. Series finale's Tuesday.
Oh, it's a series finale?
The series finale Tuesday. I believe Andor was
only
always supposed to basically end at the beginning of Rogue One.
Well, yeah, it was always gonna just be 2 seasons.
I was
Yeah.
not aware. I thought it had at least three in it, man. It's a good like espionage action show, you know?
It's just and this is just me basing it off remembering season one. It's just such a different take on the Star Wars universe. That's like
Mhm.
a refreshing look at it.
Yeah.
It's not so Disneyfied. It's like its own. It's in its own category of Star Wars. Even different than like the Rogue One, which is the movie that it's kind of connected
Yeah.
to. It's just kind of cool that they did that. I don't know.
Yeah. Especially since it's been 3 years since Andor came out. And is anybody else getting tired of waiting 3 years for a season of TV?
For everything, yeah.
Like, I don't think I could do it anymore. I'm not going to watch the final season of Stranger Things because it's been too long and I don't care anymore.
You're gonna.
You're
No, I'm not.
I'm gonna make you.
I
I'll pay
don't
you.
take that bet.
I'll pay you.
Oh, you'll pay me. Yeah, I'll watch it if you're going to pay me. I
No, you
barely watched season 4 and it took me that long. I kind of had to be dragged through that one.
You got a podcast about it.
Oh,
we'll see.
we'll see. Whenever it comes, it's never coming out. It doesn't matter. Those kids have receding hairlines now. Like, I don't want to watch that.
Dude, today on my drive home, I was listening to Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, and Bobby Millie Brown is on it, and she's talking about how she's married to fucking Bon Jovi's son or something.
Mhm.
And I was just like, what's happening? I was like, what's going on with this show? How come?
You're supposed to be a 10-year-old child, not
Right.
married.
It's like,
She's
wait
Millie
a
Bobby
second.
Brown Bon Jovi. Billy Bobby Brown Jovi.
Millie Bobby Brown Jovi.
She took his name too. She was saying that. She's like, yeah, legally I'm Bon Jovi now, but I still go by this. Yeah.
Millie Bobby Brown Bon Jovi. Say that 10 times.
Millie Bobby
Bobby
Brown Bon
Brown,
Jovi.
Bon
Millie
Jovi.
Bobby Brown Bon Jovi. Millie Bobby Brown Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
Yeah, length between shows starts getting ridiculous. I think a 2-year break is acceptable. Like if you get a show I know, but if you get a show in 2024
Yeah.
and they don't have the new season until 2026, I'm like, okay, I can get that. But like the 2023 years in between is like, come on,
Yeah.
what you guys been doing?
Like when Severance coming back?
They haven't said.
I know. I'm terrified. What if I die?
Well, he's I know. He said Ben Stiller said there won't be a break as long again. So that's all we can kind of count on.
That's what everybody was
Actually,
joking about because this week the Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer came out. And apparently that's a thing because on the comments on the YouTube video, everyone's like, "I'm so glad I stayed alive for this because it's been so long since Grand Theft Auto 5 that it's just like I'm so sorry for everyone who died waiting for this game to come out."
It's true.
Because it's been like a decade.
Speaking of Severance and movies coming out and stuff, I've never been like a crazy Mission Impossible guy. But do you guys see the guy who plays Milchek is in the new one?
Mm-hmm.
Makes me want to see Mission Impossible more.
And when I went to see Thunderbolts, I had zero interest in this movie, but the new trailer, which I didn't watch, but I saw it on Thunderbolts, made me kind of think it might be fun, is that new Jurassic World movie.
I was indifferent about the trailer.
The initial trailer I watched, I was like, meh. And then I watched that second trailer and I was like, that looks kind of fun. And then I did also remember that Gareth Edwards is the director of that movie. And he did that first Godzilla movie with Bryan Cranston, which was really good. And he did Monsters and he did a couple other things. Like he's a really good, he did Rogue One, bringing it back to Star Wars. He's a really good director. So I'm like, maybe that might be a fun little romp at the movie theater.
They had the one other trailer, the Brad Pitt racing movie.
Oh.
I have zero interest in F1, but that movie looked kind of
right.
That movie looked kind of like it'd be like something intense to see.
Dude, I didn't care. I don't care about racing at all, but I was like, this looks interesting enough for me.
It's like, did you ever
I'm
watch?
not going to the theater for it, but as soon as it's streaming, I'll be like, yeah, I got to watch this movie.
Yeah, I'll watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever watch Driven with Stallone?
Mm-mm.
I love that movie. It's just
Really?
like a NASCAR racing movie, and I watched it because Stallone. And I remember now. It's been 20 years probably since I've watched it. So who
I don't
knows?
think I've ever watched any racing movie because people will bring up like Days of Thunder, and I'm like, no,
I've never seen Days
I'm
of
like,
Thunder.
I remember the tire scene because it's been shared so many times online of the tires melting or something, and whatever fat. But like, I think Talladega Nights is the only racing movie I've ever watched.
Right.
The movie's funny.
It's just funny as fuck. It's one of the best blooper reels ever made. Yeah, it's the best.
Does Cool Running count as a racing movie? Cool Runnings? I don't know. Bobsleds. Kind
Listen,
of
listen.
racing
That,
bobsleds.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
John Candy classic.
now we're going to talk about Secretariat. Hmm? What's the other one? What's the other horse racing movie?
Oh, Seabiscuit.
I was about to say Monkey Bone.
Wait, is Monkey Bone a horse racing movie?
I don't know. Monkey Bone was that movie with Brendan Fraser and like a cartoon dog.
Wait, how did you jump
Huh?
to Monkey Bone?
I couldn't remember what Seabiscuit was, and
Oh.
Monkey Bone was what was in my head.
I was like, I never saw Monkey Bone, and I was like, is that about racing? I thought it was a weird demon movie or
Yeah,
something.
I have no idea. I never saw it, but that was I Seabiscuit. I couldn't put those words. I put Monkey Bone in my head before I put
I
Seabiscuit.
gotcha. Our brains are weird.
Our
No,
brains
they
are
aren't.
weird.
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts. We're here to talk about the Thunderbolts. You can tell we've been off for a little bit, so just kind of getting back into the swing of things. And speaking of those things, I did not put together a synopsis for this movie because I forgot. So Thunderbolts is the new MCU movie that came out in the year 2025 of our Lord.
It did.
And it was basically Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad, where they took all of the different villains from their TV shows and movies and that we forgot about and said, go be superheroes now.
Kind of.
And
It's like
Elaine from Seinfeld just
Yeah.
chewed up some scenery.
yeah.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus deserves better than what you just said.
I know. No, honestly, I'm going to say it right off the. I loved every time Julia Louis-Dreyfus just did her thing. She was full. If you ever watched Veep, she was in full Selena mode, and I love Veep. I've watched that
The
show
entire
like twice.
time.
The entire time, she was just full Selena Myers, and it killed me just watching her do things. And I kept picturing Selena in that role. Like I kept mishmashing them in my head because brains are weird, as we've established. And it made me love everything.
They should have had Buster as her sidekick. I know that's not his
Yeah.
real name or her name or his name on Veep, but
Yeah.
if he would have been playing her assistant instead of the girl, oh my God.
This honestly would have been my favorite movie of the year if that would have been.
Match made in heaven. The girl was
Yeah.
great too. She's adorable. She did really well. Great actress. But like, if it would have been Buster, and I'm sorry, you're not listening to this guy, but I don't remember your real name.
Tony Hale.
His name's my name?
Yeah, you guys have the same name. His name is my name.
I'll never forget it again.
His name's my name.
It's my
Sorry, everyone. You really can tell we haven't been together in a while.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to do
Yeah,
so
I
much
agree,
editing.
I agree with you that she's a good addition to me. She's like she's the evil version of Nick Fury,
Yep.
kind of, because I don't know when she was introduced in a Marvel movie a while back, and she started assembling this team. I think it was at Black Widow when you first saw her, and that was the 1st time she talked to
Yelena.
Yelena. And then at the end of Falcon Winter Soldier, she was talking to U.S. Agent or what's his name in these
John
movies?
Walker.
John Walker.
Baby
And,
Russell.
Baby Russell. Yeah, she may have popped up a few more times. But yeah, she's that's what I think of it as. Like she assembled a team and she's like the Dark Mirror version of a Nick Fury, kind of. Like doing the same thing just with iller intentions.
Yeah. So real quick, because I just pulled one up. Thunderbolts, Marvel Studios assembles an unconventional team of anti-heroes, Yelena, Bucky, Red Guardian, Ghost, Taskmaster, and John Walker, after finding themselves ensnared in a death trap set by Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, which I'm not going to be able to say again. These delusioned cast-offs must embark on a dangerous mission that will force them to confront the darkest corners of their past. Will this dysfunctional group tear themselves apart or find redemption and unite as something much more before it's too late? Asterisks.
Mm-hmm. Big asterisks.
Big asterisks that they established, and we'll talk. I don't know when we want to talk about that. If we want to talk about that earlier, if we want to talk about that late, but curious, just I guess we've kind of already established a lot and rambled in circles around here. But what do you guys think of? What's first impressions? What do you think of Thunderbolts? Like it, hate it? What kind of conversation are we about to have?
I liked it. It was fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, that's all I got.
all I got.
I
Bye.
said I was going to
Log
stop
off.
saying that things were fun because that's what I said, but like it was fun. I enjoyed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. I don't know if in my mind that it got built up to being something better than it ended up being to me. Just, but that's everything. But when reviews and stuff start coming out and they're like, "This is the best thing since Endgame. This is the best thing since Infinity War. Best thing Marvel's done in years." And I'm like, "All right, let's go. This is gonna be." And I watched it. I was like, that was pretty good.
I
But then at the end of it, I'm like, was it the best thing I've ever seen Marvel
I
do?
I've I've
Maybe
been
since Endgame or you know what I mean?
We'll go through a list later and see if
Yeah.
but
that's right.
that's what I keep like I've fallen for that multiple times since Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
And where they're like, "This is the best thing since Endgame," and I'm like, "Here we go, let's go!" And I get all excited, and then I watch. I'm like, "That movie sucked," and or I just, it's like it's fine, but I'm not like the hype. They hype you up so much, and then when you go in, because you're so hyped, you're just like, "That movie sucked." It didn't suck, but you were so overhyped for it that in your brain it sucks because you were expecting the like I was gonna say the next coming of Christ, but I've already done that a couple of times. I'm in the Easter mood, I guess. The new Pope, maybe it's in my brain. Um,
Chicago Pope.
Chicago
Chicago
Pope's in my
Pope.
brain. Um, that was my favorite day. Just all the memes.
Yeah,
That was
that was a perfect day.
it was a great day.
Father,
I was so glad to be like
son.
Chicago adjacent for that because nobody gave a shit about it here.
We needed that as a community, as like a timeline. We needed a day like the Chicago Pope Day.
It was like, wait, hold on. Are things gonna be okay?
um, but yeah, I've tried really hard, and so I tried to keep my expectations extremely low for this one, regardless of what they said. Granted, part of the only reason I went to go see it was that I got a text that Saturday morning from Don that said, "Is this really good?" Or what do you texted me something where like you were like, "So the whole world loves Thunderbolts, huh?" And I was just
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Do they?" So I started looking up and I started seeing like actual like I was gonna say customer, but like just actual just normal people, non bought,
Critic, right.
non critic reviews, and it was a lot higherly positive than we just went through Captain America, which I still haven't watched because the actual like reviews, most people said meh was the overall consensus for Captain America, and this one wasn't that. So I was definitely a lot more intrigued, and then once I saw that, I was like, you know what, maybe I should just go see this movie. And I enjoyed it. I really did have a lot of fun watching this movie. I enjoyed that it was a lot smaller scale ultimately. I mean, there were moments that you could still say were like big catastrophic events, but it wasn't like end of the world,
Yeah,
like stakes that they were trying to do.
It could have
And
been. It
it
could have
was
been at
about
it
to
could
certain
have
be.
been,
points.
and
It was end of New York, or where was it? Not New York. Was it New
Yeah,
York?
it was New York. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you could put it that way, but it still wasn't like
When Sentry went void, that was like a earth-ending
it potentially,
time.
yes. Potentially.
Uh,
But I liked, I liked what they did and some of those moments, some of those moments and the themes really hit me more than I expected. So that was they caught me, they made me feel something, which was good. I haven't felt anything for an MCU product in a while, so felt good for that. So I really enjoyed this one.
yeah, good. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I like the smaller stakes of it. This is like the first Marvel movie in quite some time that I've seen, and maybe I'm wrong because I've skipped a couple here. Um, but that like wasn't timeline focused. That wasn't like big epic like the time stream, the different
Yeah.
realities and dimensions and shit. Just something different where it's just like some street level heroes. None of them can shoot fire. They all just I think they made fun of themselves a bunch of times saying like we
We
shoot and
suck.
we shoot and punch. We're a
Yeah,
bunch of
does
people who
anybody
just shoot and
fly?
punch. Right.
That was a great bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think there was something relaxing about it not being in that timeline to have to worry about the multiverse or anything like that. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So
Sure.
now the question is, because I hear it constantly, is the MCU back? I'm saying that to
I'm
be an
always gonna watch MCU movies when they come out.
Captain America.
I always get a little excited about it, and then I'm like, all right, I'll watch it, and then eventually I end up seeing it.
Mhm.
There's a couple that fell through. I think Dom, what did we go see? Quantumania? What's that one called?
Yeah, Ant-Man
Oof.
3.
No wonder you
Yeah.
guys haven't gone to the movies again.
That's what I think that's what did it for me with the MCU, where I just don't get hyped up for it anymore. And I'm just kind of like, all right, I'll watch this.
Yeah,
Well, we
most of,
did see Deadpool Wolverine since then.
mm.
And
Yeah,
I know Chris always says
and I
Deadpool's
love
like its
that.
own thing. Its
What's
own
that?
thing. Chris will claim that Deadpool's like in its own category. He doesn't even look at that as MCU, but it is in a way.
It
Now.
is, and it was it. Yeah, it is now. But even that movie was like a love letter to Fox more than it was the MCU.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
apparently we'll
which
see.
doesn't matter.
It might. They just announced that entire X-Men cast for the next Avengers movie. So
That's what I mean. They were saying goodbye to that cast, and now it's like, well, that didn't matter.
right. So now
Your
I'm like,
your
did
love
they
letter
just?
was nothing.
Yeah, did they just ruin Deadpool and Wolverine just because of that?
No, it was still a nice little nod to everything, but now it's just like, yeah, all right, well, fuck it.
But
All
still a
I
bunch.
Love that shit.
Did you guys just say a bunch of those actors though are in Endgame or not Endgame? Doomsday?
Doomsday, yeah.
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 But where's Wesley Snipes' Blade? Like I need Wesley Snipes' Blade. Like they keep talking about Mahershala Ali's Blade and like being dead and still needs a director after like 5 have quit. And I'm like, you know what? Just make Blade 4 at this point.
Well, now David Goyer said he wants to come write the new Blade, who he wrote
He,
all 3 of the Wesley Snipes ones.
I'm fine with him writing it, but yeah, I
Yeah.
don't. You got to do a whole bunch more. I don't think we're ever gonna get Blade. Just put it out of its misery.
Who
Um,
knows?
Thunderbolts.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll talk about it. So, do we want to talk about the how do we want to address Thunderbolts? Because once again, we did not prepare as much.
You want me to rant about those fucking kids for another 10 minutes? Because I'll do
No,
that.
No.
no, but just the overall movie. I enjoyed. Like I said, we talked about the movie. We had. I think a lot of the scenes and the action stuff really worked. I enjoyed it being a lot smaller. I really enjoyed almost that whole scene with them in the vault. And they were, I enjoyed that whole thing that Valentina got them all there to basically incinerate them, and they got them all there for other people, and that whole fight sequence that they put together of them in the vault all going after someone else while the other one, I thought that was like extremely well done. And then
Well, what do you think of just right off the bat since you're in that scene, like
the
Taskmaster
Just
just
dead.
being killed immediately, and her character, which famously is a gender swap from
Yeah.
Black Widow, is just killed immediately. But she was in all the promotional stuff, the posters, part of the team, showing her.
I just
And
read
she,
it in the synopsis off Rotten Tomatoes.
huh?
I just read her name in the synopsis of Rotten
Right,
Tomatoes. I
right.
will tell you what I'm glad about that thing was that they were willing to give Olga a moment with her mask off so she can get the payday. Because you could have put anybody in that suit for that, but they did one thing where she took her mask off and you got to see her, and they paid her. So good for Marvel and Disney for bringing her back for that.
And the character, the costume, the mask had like a little bit of an upgrade from
Yeah,
Black Widow. It looked better.
yeah.
So when I first saw Taskmaster, I was like, okay, I'm all right. The character looks better. They fixed it up a little bit. Then they killed her.
Yeah,
And she was
there's no way she lives, right? Like
No,
she was shot and incinerated.
yeah,
she's
gone.
It seemed weird.
no. I think it was a redirect because people hated that version of the Taskmaster, not only because of the gender swap, but it was just a piss poor
Right.
version of that character. So I think most people hated that character. Two, you can't have. I kept getting her and Ghost confused, so they look too similar. So you can't have them on the same team. So you have to pick one for that. But yeah, I was shocked. I wasn't expecting that. It was sudden, and I think it worked for what it was. Like I don't think anyone has strong feelings outside of the actress who was playing Taskmaster that like cared. I don't know. I didn't necessarily feel anything, but it was shocking. I'll give it
And
that.
even without her, the makeup of the team to me works okay. Even though I know one of the big things people were concerned about is you have like 3, maybe 4. No, I think it's 3 super soldiers,
Yeah.
like Red Guardian, Bucky, Winter Soldier, and
Dime Store
uh,
Captain America.
yeah, U.S. Agent are all like the same.
Yeah.
Like, how do you make a team with 3 super soldiers and then Yelena doesn't have any powers and she's just a spy? Nobody really cares about Ghost. I mean, I'm sorry. I only know Ghost. I don't even remember what movie exactly she was in. Ant-Man 2. I think she was the
She
villain
was
in
Ant-Man
Ant-Man
2.
2.
She was the villain.
Yeah. Um,
Lawrence
but
Fishburne was more the villain in that movie, but
but the team makeup ended up being okay at the end, I think, because
Mhm.
of the reasons you said. They got a little more. Everybody kind of got their time, and you kind of got to learn a little bit more about each person, at least the main ones. Like
Yeah.
you saw backstory with Yelena, you saw backstory with John Walker, uh, and they got into the whole mental health thing of it and how people are feeling. And uh, big Sentry fan after this too. I was familiar with him from comics, but I think that character they can do a lot with that moving forward. It's basically like Marvel's Superman in a way. Uh, but I think they presented him in a way enough where it's like um, it's hard to do a superhuman person who nobody can touch, like
Yeah.
nobody can beat. So we'll see what they end up doing, but I like that character in there too. Good team makeup is what I'm basically
Yeah.
trying to say.
Yeah, it was a great team makeup, and one of the things that I enjoyed almost throughout this whole movie, which is rare for an MCU, and I know it's been said before, but I like that they allowed every character, like you said, to have their moment, and there was no joke. Like there were heavy scenes between characters talking about how they feel, and no one came in like, "Ugh," and making it like MCU is always like known for like trying to like keep everything light and cracking that joke and never letting anything really sit. And they really had some scenes. I mean, that scene with Yelena and Red Guardian where Elena's really like bearing her soul to him, like that scene was emotional as hell. And they never, I mean, and then there was no joke in between that scene and Century voiding everybody. Like it just got darker from there, which I really appreciated and is not something we usually get in the MCU.
So that scene where she's crying and she's talking to him and she's like, I needed you, I missed you.
Yeah.
Fucking kids behind me are laughing. And I'm
Oh,
just like, dude, I know I keep
That's
coming back to this.
that's not even an hour into the movie. That's late in the movie.
that's that's your experience, man. No, yeah,
No,
no,
that was mm,
Maybe halfway.
maybe halfway.
I think I walked down halfway. So maybe it was right then. Maybe that was the final straw where I was like, F this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would
Um,
be because that was a great scene. It
it
was
was
well
awesome.
acted. It was
Yeah.
That just on that moment, I loved that scene too. I thought Florence Pugh did a good job. Just period.
Yeah.
That's my point. Is she's been really good in the MCU so far, as especially coming in as a character that nobody really knew.
Dude,
They're
I
like,
love
oh,
her.
White Widow, Black Widow's little sister, Yelena. Like we don't really know her from the comics. Who cares? But she's been in now Black Widow, Hawkeye, and then this, uh, and just
Dude,
amazing in all of them. Like
yeah.
Hawkeye, she was so hilarious.
she's
Like
the best part of Hawkeye. The relationship between her and what's the lead in Hawkeye?
Haley
Kate,
Stanfield.
Kate
Dude,
Bishop.
dude, so funny, man. Like
Yeah,
I still think about the macaroni scene and it cracks me up from Hawkeye every time. Like she's so charming and plays it so well. And I think that's why I asked you, Don, because you said you saw it, and I'm like, is she as hilarious and charming? And you're like, yeah, she does good,
Yeah,
and she
yeah.
did. She didn't disappoint.
she's not as hilarious, but
She's
she.
not, but like it was,
Hawkeye, she was very funny.
yeah, the entire time. But like
Yeah,
she was still funny. And Red Guardian, like the movie had laughs where it needed to. It wasn't
Yeah,
like a straight heavy movie, but when it needed to be serious, it was. And then when there was moments for lightheartedness, it was great.
yeah, yeah. Red Guardian was always there to do that, but I loved that everybody had a moment.
Yeah,
Like everybody was allowed a moment to feel the pain that they're feeling in the
sure.
place that they are in the world. And you had John Walker, who's kind of an asshole in Winter Soldier and kind of an asshole in this one, but you still felt for him knowing that PTSD, that I mean, he was Captain America for a minute and then just let it basically, he
ruin his
just couldn't
life.
control himself. And so, like, to see where that is, like, that's heavy stuff. And the fact that they let him have that moment was refreshing because that didn't seem like, especially characters of like this scale would get that.
Most of them got their moments, but another point I wanted to make is not much with Bucky,
Mm-mm.
which is a little surprising because he is the most well known to
Yeah.
us as viewers of that team. He's been in like the most things, and they kind of were like, "Oh, he's a senator now or a congressman," that which we didn't know. Something just happened off screen, I guess, unless I missed it.
Or it happened in Captain America.
Yeah.
Right, which is possible too. But it's like not much with him. And Winter Soldier's badass, and it's like, what do you
Maybe
what
that's
are
because he's got his own backstory that's been told to us already.
that's probably
You know,
true.
so it's like, okay, look, he's established. We need to establish everybody else.
Yeah, he's established as we already did the anti-hero with him, or like the
Yeah.
villain. We did the villain and we did the anti-hero, and then we kind of even did like full-on hero with him.
Yeah.
And so now it's like he's just kind of like the elder statesman there of just like, I know what I'm doing.
I've been
Um,
around the block.
I've been
in
around the block.
yeah.
Everybody knows me around the world, so I thought the idea of him being a congressman and trying to do things non-superhero-y was interesting
Yeah.
with that, to start it off before it went. But I really liked all of that. Lewis Pullman as Bob slash Sentry I thought was great. I really enjoyed that. Just the banter, his connection with Yelena and how they got along and all of that stuff. Like I said, everything worked really well from a gel standpoint of this crew.
Him fighting his own demons, like in that one scene, was really cool. Uh, and to me, like my favorite fight in the movie was the first time he came down, like in Avengers Tower, which is cool
Yeah.
itself. That they're back in the same room where Hulk smashed Loki around, having this fight between the Thunderbolts and Sentry.
Loved that fight. I
Yeah, that
loved
was
that
great.
fight because like we talk about Superman and doing a Superman movie and having these fights of these invincible people and they're just fighting and they're just beating each other up and nobody's actually getting hurt. And you're doing this thing and watching someone like Sentry, I don't know if I've ever really felt like our heroes being so helpless. Like they couldn't even touch him.
Right.
And it was done so coolly, like where he just stood there and he just just messed everybody up without really breaking a sweat or really having to even do anything. Like he could stop
Yeah.
everyone. Like it was so well choreographed.
It was less than nothing for him, and it was really cool because even afterwards, what's Julie Louis-Dreyfus? Allegra, what's her name?
Valentino.
Valentina, yeah.
She even says to, kill them, and he's like, why? They're not even a threat, and it's like that's how much of nothing what he just did to them was. Where
Yeah.
he's like, it doesn't matter.
Because what
They
basically
can
what
do
he was
absolutely nothing to me.
basically what he was doing was holding back. Like
Yeah.
he could have ripped all of them to shreds, but he's like, I really don't want to hurt you, but if you're gonna like be in my way, I'm kind of just gonna knock you around a lot.
Yeah.
Like if he really wanted to, it could have been an Omni-Man Guardians of the Globe thing, you know.
Yeah.
He's like, I really don't want to hurt you guys. I like you, but you're kind of ticking me off. So
Yeah. One of the things I honestly struggled with this was I do feel like I don't know. Did anybody else feel that like transition from Bob to Sentry was quick?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I understand that they had those scenes with like Valentina like really like catering to him and him feeling those things. And I understand that and appreciate that. But it just felt like all of a sudden like his friends just showed up. It felt like it was like 10 minutes since they were together and then they were just like kill them and he's like okay. I was like, "Wait."
But everything was fast. The fact that there's a line when Yelena says, "I know you" or "You know me," and it's like, "Hey, you guys hung out for an hour."
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that was fast too. And then Allegra taking the maternal figure and trying to nurture him, that was also fast. But the whole thing just seemed fast.
You got to get it in there in a 2-hour movie.
It's like honestly, like Allegra might have spent more time with him than they did. That being in the vault.
Right.
What were they in the vault for? Literally a 2-minute countdown,
Mhm.
and then 3 minutes afterwards.
Yeah, they literally probably knew each other for 10 minutes. So
Right. So it's like, but that whole thing a little rushed. But like you said, what are you gonna do? You got 2 hours to tell a story. So
yeah. I felt like there needed to be just like an incident that would make him turn, but yeah, it worked. I was able to look past it. It was just something that was bothering me in the moment.
Sure.
With that, then we hit the void where basically it was pretty badass when Sentry just started sucking people in the void, and they did a little bit different of a snap. It wasn't quite a snap, but it still looked really cool where they kind of just like turned to shadows.
dude,
My, what are you gonna say about those kids? I know you're about to say something else about the
The fucking moment.
kids.
Fucking no, not those kids. Sorry. That fucking moment where fucking Red Guardian and everyone's attempting to save everybody and they
Yeah.
fucking unite and it's a very cool fucking team moment of them fighting.
Say it. Say it.
And that little girl is about to
Oh.
be crushed by a giant piece of cement, and Red Guardian goes under her and fucking gets hit. And I was just like, I got all the fucking tingles. This is amazing. And then all of a sudden, it was just like, that little girl was gone. And I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
no.
Here's the thing. We didn't know then at that time what the voiding was doing.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was killing people.
Yes.
It seemed like it was like a Thanos snap. They were just disappeared.
Yeah.
We come to find out later, it's sent into their own consciousness and reliving terrible times in their life or whatever.
Yeah.
But in my theater, when that little girl disappeared, I heard an audible gasp from people. People were just like, "Oh!"
Yeah.
Like because it was unexpected. Like they killed a child.
Yeah. I was like, they killed a child that just got saved. I was like, how dare you save someone in front of me?
I thought you were going to talk about when that like giant piece of concrete was going to fall on that person and they were all stopping and they united to flip that over and they were like pushing it over. I'm like, what's on the other side? You guys can't see what's on the other side. What's on the other side, guys? Don't push it over.
I had that same
I was waiting
exact
for them
thought.
to cut and someone would be like, oh, I'm underneath.
That whole fight was really good, really fun.
No, it was awesome. The choreography, the way they set it up with the rocks falling, they got to come together. Like I said, it was awesome to go.
I didn't notice it when I watched it, but somebody has since shared the clip of Black Widow and Captain America. I don't know if you guys have seen this. They did the side by side where she looks at him, she runs and bounces off his shield to shoot over and jump into a ship, but it's almost like Yelena and Red Guardian. It's like the same move choreography. It was kind of a cool little callback to Black Widow that she was doing that same kind of move. So
makes sense.
I did kind of want to watch Black Widow again after watching this.
I want to watch Hawkeye again after this.
There's a couple things that you could watch.
Could.
Yeah.
I should probably watch Captain America.
Well, they need to make it so I don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Disney Plus on that. I'll watch it. I'm sure you guys are right. That's probably when Bucky does become. Yeah. If he's even, I don't even know if he's in that movie, to be honest.
I bet he is because they reference it in this. She mentions
the president.
Right. So I'm sure it's in there somewhere.
That's the only like audible or like moment that I know was directly referencing that Captain America. Everything else I really don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
So we want to know something else about those fucking kids?
Yeah.
Know something?
Bring it.
Okay, so Sentry has the ability to touch someone and put them into this void or this flashback where it takes them to their worst possible space. So little Julia Louis-Dreyfus, her little flashback, all of a sudden it shows her as a kid and her dad's going to the door, and as the door gets answered, little assholes behind me go pop, pop, pop. And I was like, what does that mean? Does that mean this guy's about to get shot? Sure enough.
Oh, no.
Fucking dad gets shot. Cool.
You should have slapped those kids around.
Dude,
yeah,
I just kept thinking of being on the internet as a 42-year-old, 300-pound man fighting 12-year-olds.
Oh, man, that's rough.
That is rough.
Fight everyone.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
Sorry. What? That was it.
I enjoyed all the scenes in the void. I thought that was cool, and I liked that, like I said, the mental health aspects to it. I thought was well done. I liked those parallels, the way they really set that up of like battle your demons and do those things, and you can be set free, and being able to make that be almost the small scale kind of final fight. We didn't have a full blown out like knock down buildings battle with Sentry. We didn't have anything. It was like learn how he can control that, and I thought it was, like I said, nice small scale and satisfying for what this story was.
Yeah, for sure.
So I like that. And then we hit Elaine, what's her name? Valentina.
Elaine.
Basically dubbing the Thunderbolts asterisks as the new Avengers which Marvel and Disney wasted 72 hours before they basically
Told
told
us.
everybody that's what the asterisk meant.
Yeah, that was kind of the biggest reveal of the movie
Yeah.
at the end is because you find out the asterisk really does mean like they have a different name by the end of this film. They're not
Yeah.
the Thunderbolts. They never really even were the Thunderbolts.
It was a
Thunderbolts
joke.
it was a joke as like a softball team or some sports team that Yelena played on as a kid.
That was
And
fun.
but
She
yes,
took a dump in the middle of the field.
reading Thunderbolts comics though, I'm kind of offended because Thunderbolts is cool. Chris, that was one of the books he read growing or as a kid was these Thunderbolts books. So they're a real
Yeah.
team in the comics. They kind of made it a joke. Them being dubbed the New Avengers to me is kind of interesting, but also to me, I kind of wish they would have stayed the Thunderbolts, and just been that team in
Yeah.
the MCU.
They kind of left that open when they
Yeah.
talked about Captain America.
Well, Sam's got his own squad.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it goes back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
So
how it's going to be handled moving forward in this because, yeah, once we hit the post-credit scene there, it was very much like 14 months later, the Thunderbolts, who are the new Avengers, were in Avengers Tower doing Avenger things, but they were talking about Sam and his like lawsuit against that, and that's when you had Red Guardian be like Avengers with the Z. Um,
Yeah.
and setting up like that they've been the Avengers now in the public
For
eye for
for a
14
year.
for a year,
Hmm.
doing those things, but are being opposed by actual Avengers or just another group. So it's definitely showing that like
They said
disarray.
Yeah, they said Sam has his own team. He doesn't want to combine with them, and he's
Yeah.
getting like a copyright on the Avengers name, so they're the Avengers. So there's going to be like two. Of course, we know these things are all going to come together at some point for because when Doomsday comes out, all these characters are going to intertwine more. But yeah, interesting post credit scene too with the ending there of the Fantastic Four ship coming in to Earth. That was like the big ooh moment.
It made me feel like I missed something.
How so?
I don't know. I didn't watch the Fantastic Four yet.
Nobody has. It's not out yet.
Okay, so I didn't know. I'm like, did something happen to Captain America that I should know about?
I think it makes so Fantastic Four is takes
The
place in the
next
70s, right?
60s, 70s, somewhere in
so we
there.
think, but it also might be a different reality.
Universe. Because
Right.
they said, like
I
disturbance
think
in the multi-dimensional vortex or
yeah,
whatever.
there's a multi-dimensional ship. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
does
yeah.
that lead us to believe that when Fantastic Four comes out, it's going to end with them on the ship going through some loophole?
Yeah,
Probably.
absolutely, absolutely.
And that's how
That's kind of what they
we're gonna
told you.
get. Yeah.
That's kind of what they told you. You can kind of expect Fantastic Four to Galactus to probably win and destroy their world, and they have to escape to our world or something
I
similar. Maybe not word for word that, but
I'm struggling so hard to care about the Fantastic Four movie. I watched that trailer. I still hadn't. The first time I watched the Fantastic Four trailer was with when I saw that Thunderbolts. Still hadn't even watched that second trailer, and I watched it, and I was just like, this just seems like the same Silver Surfer movie we got 20 years ago. Like
they
But
nothing's.
just
now it's
showed
got Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, and he looks a lot younger, which was nice because I've been watching him as Joel, and he's like all aged up. So I'm like, oh,
He's
he is a young man.
old.
He's old. He's got Crohn's.
The
Um,
Pope.
but yeah, so seeing him young and vibrant was nice.
the
But
Thing looks fantastic in the Fantastic Four. I think that guy is going to be good.
yeah,
From
he does, and I'm sure it's gonna be fine. But I just am struggling to care, and now I know that they lose
Yeah,
Maybe.
or are forced to flee or some reason. I don't know. I mean, I guess I have to see the movie to know, but
that's what they want you to do. That's called a tease. That's called a stinger or whatever you want to call it. That's how they get you in there.
we'll see.
You ain't going.
Yeah. Guess what? I said I was done about those kids. I'm not. Guess what? Guess what, guys?
They told you about it?
I, I watched the first stinger, and then during the other credits, I walk down and I stand by the aisle to leave. I walk down to the floor and I'm standing there just waiting because I know there's going to be another one. And then the girl who works there comes in with her garbage can, and I'm like, "Oh, can I put this in there?" And she's like, "Yeah." And these 5, 6 kids come down, and they're getting ready to leave, and the girl's like, "Oh, hey," she's like, there's another stinger, there's another stinger," and half of them were like, "Oh," and this other one was like, it's just about the Fantastic Four," and then they all leave, and I was like, "You mother,
And you just had a terrible spoiler
dude,
Yeah.
filled experience.
these kids were assholes."
Yeah, you should have
Punched them.
kidnapped him, took him back to the woods, beat him with sticks.
Yeah. Yeah. So I knew something with Fantastic Four was coming. So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, kids. Thanks for
That's
making me not want to go to the movies ever again.
that scene also had like a kind of a different feel than the rest of the movie. If it felt like, because then you find out later it was directed by the Russos,
Oh,
like a couple weeks ago.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, interesting stuff. What was the first? There was two. Wasn't that the second one? What was the first?
First one was the Red Guardian with the Wheaties box
Oh,
in the
okay.
grocery store where he was trying to get the lady to buy the Wheaties box because he was on
He's
it.
trying to get her to recognize him.
I
Yeah.
got you. Okay,
It was a joke.
sure.
So, Thunderbolts had a good time. I
Yeah,
enjoyed
I
it.
mean, I enjoyed it. It was fine. It was just like, nothing. I'm trying to train myself to expect less and just appreciate how much work and effort goes into these things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I thought, like I said, Quantum Mania would jade me enough to where I'd be like, well, nothing's going to be good anymore that comes out of that. But yeah, I'm not mad about it. I'd probably watch it again in a couple of years. It was fun.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's the most fun I've had. It is the most fun I've had in a while watching an MCU product. I will say that. I will
So they
say
were
that they
right.
were right. I can't necessarily say it was the best since Endgame,
Well,
but it might have been.
yeah, I have.
I don't know. I really enjoyed Shang-Chi, and I don't know why people forget
Yeah.
that one existed.
I was just
good.
looking. I was just looking at a list of stuff to come out after Endgame. I think sometimes I give it more of a bad rap than what it really is because of how bad some of them were, and those are the ones that stick out of my head, like Thor: Love and Thunder,
Ugh,
or
Never even
uh,
watched it.
it's
it was
terrible.
so
Don't waste your
bad.
time.
It was so
Thor,
bad.
Thor 3, Ant-Man 3, and like even Doctor Strange 2 to an extent were bad movies.
Yeah,
But Shang-Chi and Spider-Man, I liked Eternals. Not everybody liked
I did
Eternals.
too.
I thought
Uh,
Eternals was fine. Like I enjoyed it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I
Black
don't even feel like
Panther.
that's an MCU movie. I don't know why. It's
Yeah.
probably tied in somehow, but like
Yeah,
I felt like it had nothing to do with it.
Supposedly, the new Captain America, everyone was mad the fact that you had to remember Eternals to get. They were like, when did this movie become a sequel to the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk and the Eternals? So supposedly those two movies were the most important like going. So it almost has me interested in Captain America 4 just because of that.
I think they're just gonna reference that celestial that's in the ocean that we haven't talked about since the
Since
Eternals.
the Eternals, yeah. The
Uh,
giant statue that reaches to space.
Right. But yeah, then Deadpool, Wolverine, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, like some of these movies are not
Yeah.
bad. It's just the bad ones stick out in my head, and I'm like, MCU's terrible now. It's
Yeah,
not terrible. It's just like you gotta lower your expectations. We're
Yeah.
not getting Endgame again. We're not getting that whole thing.
The
So
the other problem that
I think
happened.
even if they had something comparable, we hold it on such a pedestal. We're gonna judge everything so fucking hard now.
Yeah.
right.
Where if
Well,
it's not perfect, we're gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
Well, and the other problem is once we hit Endgame, then they started doing the shows. So there was an oversaturation as well, where then we're like, oh, well, now we got Moon Knight to think about, and we got Miss Marvel, and we got all of these shows that are going to always be hit or miss and or ignored. So then that gets tricky, to try to figure out. Like, a lot more content got made post Endgame.
Well, that's one thing the president of Disney has kind of come out and said after some of the shows bombed or were reviewed really badly is like they want to go quality over quantity for a while and like not have as many shows and maybe do 2 movies a year and one or two
Awesome.
shows a year.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about Daredevil on this show, and I think we all watched it. I liked that show a lot.
I love Daredevil.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Daredevil Born Again was awesome. I
Yeah,
loved
we Yeah, we didn't talk about it, but
We didn't
we
talk
all
about it. It happened. It happened.
Yeah,
We haven't
should.
yeah.
Why
did
didn't we do that?
because I don't
I
think we
don't know.
podcasted the entire time it ran. We took
Yeah.
6 weeks off or whatnot and missed Daredevil.
Maybe next week we'll come back to Daredevil or something. There's still time. People still want to hear us talk about Daredevil, right, guys? But yeah, quality over quantity, I think, is what they should have been doing this whole time. I think they got in their heads they had to have 100 shows out and just
They just
oversaturate the market, and I don't
It
know.
was a cash grab. It was like,
They-
we can do this. We can do this. Wait, we own the rights to this. Let's do this. Someone make a script for this. All right, we'll shoot
Yeah.
it for 10 million. You know what I mean?
we
Whatever.
got a streaming service now. We got to put content on it, and we need people to stay
Mhm.
subscribed. So let's do a bunch of Marvel content. So that's we get She-Hulk and we get Moon Knight and we
I
get a
like
bunch of.
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk was
What?
okay.
I enjoyed She-Hulk.
I like
No, but
She-Hulk.
I'm just saying, like they're creating a bunch of content. But
Yeah,
right.
I enjoyed She-Hulk more than most of those MCU shows.
I didn't
on
finish
there.
Moon Knight.
It's not
Finish
great.
She-Hulk.
Moon Knight was no good. I finished. Moon Knight was no good. Miss Marvel, I didn't finish.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that one. Right?
I didn't really like what I saw of it. I didn't finish it. I didn't like Moon Knight. I didn't like. I mean, everyone else was okay that I
And
can
who's the-
remember.
Actor from Moon Knight, Oscar
Oscar Isaac.
Dude, he's awesome. Like, I love everything that dude's in, and I watched that and I was like, I just can't finish it.
The first couple episodes were okay. I really enjoyed the first couple episodes, and then it just kind of fell off.
Yeah.
I
And that's when I
severely,
watched
I
2 or 3.
severely doubt they come out with a season 2 of Moon Knight. I don't think they will, but I do hope they use Moon Knight again in some capacity, like in one of these movies. Throw him in one of these street level movies because he's a street level guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd be cool alongside like a Daredevil or
That's what
Spider-Man or whatever.
reminded me of who's the guy who died in Daredevil.
Foggy?
No, the superhero, the hero.
Oh, White Tiger.
Yeah, like when I saw White Tiger, I was like, this should be Moon Knight. Like, I wanted
Right.
Oscar Isaac in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You needed to. White Tiger's a girl, so you needed to.
Oh, is that right?
His niece is the real. Is the White Tiger that I read in comics was his
I don't
niece, so
read
that's
comics.
why it was getting her the amulet. So I kept waiting for her to come back in Daredevil, which
She would-
they didn't. But I think she will.
They'll do like a Young Avengers project, which has always been rumored, and it'll be like her version of White Tiger in there or something.
Yeah, that was always the White Tiger that I knew was a female. So I thought they just gender swapped it, and then when they were like, "My Tio" and doing stuff, and I was like,
They kept showing
"There
it.
she is."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, that's the one I know." I can't remember I don't know the full history of the character, but
I don't know anything about that because I don't read comics because I'm an idiot.
No, you're
you're not.
fine.
You have a lot more money than me.
What does that mean?
I
It
spend
means
a
you
lot of
save
money
your-
on comics and don't read them.
You save your money on stuff.
You
we
save
don't.
your money and just watch the things that you need to watch and not read the things that I don't read. I have a pile like this high of unread comic books.
Oh yeah.
You hit a sore spot. But what'd you guys think of Thunderbolts?
Yeah,
don't think-
it was fine. I liked it.
He was talking to the listeners, but yes.
Oh,
If you're like Tony and you liked it and you thought it was fine, hit us an email at raisedageek@gmail.com or you hit us up on social media. We should be back on there at Raised A Geek. We'll rust off the dust here in a little bit, or knock off the rust is what I was trying to say there.
I didn't realize that's what you were doing. I thought
it was kind of
I
a-
didn't know you were doing the wrap up thing.
It was kind of a segue. I felt like we've kind of
It's an old Chris trick.
talked around in the circles, so I was kind of calling it.
I was really curious why you were asking me again what I thought about it.
If you got more, anybody got any final thoughts on Thunderbolts or MCU or Last of Us or
I'm scared to
Daredevil
answer, 'cause I
or
don't know if you're
Andor
talking to
or
me
anything we've been
or-
doing for the past 4 weeks?
You talking
No,
to me
man.
or the fans?
You. I'm talking to
Uh-huh.
you specifically. Give us your final thoughts, Jerry Springer style.
I just watched that show Wayne that I sent you guys. It's on Tubi. It's free. I enjoyed it. It's only 1 season. Pretty mad about it that it's not that it's only 1, but it was good.
Wayne.
Low
Knight?
budget.
Bruce Wayne?
Newton?
Is this about Bruce Wayne? Otherwise,
You're gonna watch Gotham?
I might.
Did you?
Gotham? Never watched it.
I watched the first couple seasons. It was horrible.
Is that a CW show?
It was a Fox show.
I watch
Yeah.
HBO.
You watched Tubi, is what you said.
I watched Tubi for the first time because of Wayne.
Don't lie to us. You watch Tubi.
Because of Wayne?
Because of Wayne.
What is it about? I have to look up what that show is to make
We're
you
not
go to
getting into
Tubi.
Wayne.
It's like a gritty. I don't know. It's about this 15-year-old kid who's got a code.
Cloak and Dagger?
No, Don, get those glasses off.
Wayne.
All right. Well,
Watch
let
the
us know
trailer
what you
for
thought
Wayne.
about Wayne. Hit us up an email at raisethegeek@gmail.com. Hit us up on social media at raisethegeek.com. I think that's going to do it for us this week. So for Raise the Geek, I'm Chris.
And I'm done.
And I'm Wayne.
And thanks for checking out the show.
Where geek is all we speak. Wayne.
Tony. Tubi?